equity and equality, and what Dr. Price said made me want to show you this slide that we use in other ways. There's a quote in the book, Courageous Conversations About Race, and you can't see it really well up there, I'll read it to you. Equity is not a guarantee that all students will succeed, but rather that all students will have the opportunity and the support to succeed. In an equitable system, the barriers that inhibit student progress are removed. And if you see there that image, and you may have seen, there's a number of images on the internet that you can pull. Oftentimes you'll see kids trying to look over the fence at a baseball game, and some can see and some can't. But in a system where equality drives what we do, everybody gets the same, and that's there on the left, right? And what you see is that's still not enough for some of our kiddos. We're on the right, the support, maybe it's that everybody gets lunch, and that's the yellow one. We provide, regardless of their status, we provide a meal for them. But then somebody might need a little backpack program, or so the level of support that we provide makes it a more equitable situation where they get what they need to succeed. And I think what's critical about this graphic is that green area on the bottom, that's what they come with in their invisible backpack, right? The strengths that they have, the assets that they have. Our parents don't get up in the morning and say, well, I'm just going to send maybe half of what we got. They send us the best of what they got every day, right? Yep. And that's what we have to work with, and that's where we have to differentiate and where we need to find ways to provide support. So in Louisiana, we say that's a little lagniappe. That's what that is. A little something extra. And I'm going to give myself her time back because I'm talking too much.
All right. So we're going to continue talking about some of the research. And this research, I like it, but the one that you're going to see after this one is the one that I love. And this is from the Chicago Consortium. That's one of the words that is so hard for me to say. And it talks about the impact of family engagement in secondary school. A little bit about what we were saying before in that video, when we saw in that video. So do you think it is important for the school principals to kind of retain teachers? Or it doesn't matter if we are changing teachers every year? We're losing a lot, right? We train them, we invest a lot of money on them, and then when they're ready, they leave.
Can I tell you a statistic I just read?
You just said that recently.
Right?
Before the pandemic, 40% of teachers left within, I think it was within 5 years of entering the profession. That's before the pandemic. I can't imagine what the hot mess is going to be like now, right?
Yes.
So
Self-care. So I want someone to read the first part. This is something that they found on the research.
In elementary schools, teachers' perceptions of parents and partners in students' education are strongly related to the decision to remain in their schools.
So when the teachers have good relationship with the parents, they decided to stay. And I feel that way in my school district. I have such a good relationship with those parents that I was so sad when I was leaving. Because I was leaving my family. I really love them. How about the second one?
Students have better behavior in school.
And when the students have good behavior in schools, teachers stay or they leave? They stay, right? And when there is such a mess and really bad behavior, they leave. How about number 3?
Increase trustful relationships with families.
When you have that family engagement, then you have good and trustful relationship with your family. And how about the last one?
Increase communication with family.
Exactly. So that's what they found. We need to turn it on, right? Okay, so we're gonna watch another video. And this is the impact on elementary school.
With the teachers that I've interacted with, I've seen them grow a lot since I first came to the school.
I don't even think I even knew what family engagement kind of even was until that PD session that kind of just not only changed my whole life, but changed the whole school, changed the way that we see things, where we spend our money.
Listen to, try to listen to what she identifies as the benefits of that initiative. Sorry.
Yeah,
With the teachers that I've interacted with, I've seen them grow a lot since I first came to the school.
I don't even think I even knew what family engagement kind of even was until that PD session that kind of just not only changed my whole life, but changed the whole school, changed the way that we see things, where we spend our money, what we choose to do.
What really warms my heart is when your parents feel like they trust you enough that you can bring things to you and ask for help. I think that's one of the most awesome things about this in partnership.
It is work, but it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it, and it's life-changing. I mean, it will invest you as a teacher in a way that you weren't before. You know, all teachers were invested in our kids, of course, but I think when you are really become like a part of that family, you're not gonna fail that kid. Like, you are gonna fight that much harder to get them what they need and to keep that promise to that mother or to that father or grandmother that I'm here for you, I'm here for your family, I'm gonna do what it takes so that your child is successful.
Even when I have to have, tough conversations with parents, and I don't get the response that I want, it's never oh, I'm judging you right now. Now I don't have love for you. Now I don't like you. Now I'm not going to work as hard for you. It's, man, I wonder what's going on. Like, hey, there's something going on and you need some help, like, let me know. Because I actually know you care about your kid, right? I automatically now always come from a place of care, and of love. And I'm not selfish with my love anymore. In the beginning, I was very selfish with it. I decided who I was going to do what with. But now it's just made me just a better human being. Because I just think in general, I always think not to judge, but first to ask questions and try to figure out what to do. And I was never like that before.
Everybody says, well, Johnson, if you're going to be a principal somewhere else, where are you going to go? And I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere else because this is family. When you engage families in the way that we have, you feel like you're leaving your brothers, your sisters, your cousins.
I feel a responsibility to these kids and to these parents. After teaching, sibling after sibling, I can't imagine, the day I say I'm not coming back to Stanton next year because I would never hear the end of it. I mean, that's a huge reason why I think a lot of us stay is because we love these kids and we love these families.
Okay, so what do you think? What were some of the benefits that she said?
Teachers didn't want to leave. I mean, they said they didn't want to go anywhere.
Connection,
It's what I told you, right?
lasting
We
relationship.
became families. Trusted relationships.
You can't look at it with the lens of this is an industry or some kind of manufacturing system or whatever. You have to look at it through the lens of what that change, that transformation, that act, the way that she looked at it. It wasn't just school anymore. It was her life was changed, and it made. And she used the words a better human being. Can we just all
Bottle that, sell it, right?
young and old, can we all just get on that same page? Just better human beings.
Exactly. And she said it was more work,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
right? And I have to say that it is more work at the beginning.
at the beginning. In the
But
front.
then once you have your parents in, once you move your achievement up, then it's gonna be less work. But at the beginning, to put this in place, to make sure that you build those relationships with your families, it's gonna be more work.
I like that she said that she started coming from a place of caring. I
Change
think,
her mindset.
I think it's easy to have the perception that this child's coming from a terrible place where they're not loved and they're not taken care of. But I think that parents love their children the best they know how. And sometimes that's the best they're doing is what you're seeing. And we just, we have to help bridge that gap, and that's that engagement part of, like you were talking earlier about the mother not realizing the impact of just sitting and listening to read. She was involved as much as she thought and knew to be involved until she was shown another way or a better way.
Exactly. And what you said is critical, because I think we all care as teachers and administrators for our students. But it's more than that. It's that we don't feel that we can really be partners, equal partners with our families. We feel that we are the superheroes, we can do this by ourselves. And because this family is dysfunctional, because they're illiterate, because they don't speak the language, then we're gonna do everything by ourselves. But the research showed that no, we can't, we need them. And that is a good way to go to this. And this is a research that I loved, because this is what we implemented in my school when I said that we move our students from 2% of students at grade level to 73% of the students at grade level.
Is that better or worse?
Yes, better.
So this is, this was a longitudinal research, and the researcher that was behind this was Anthony Brick, and it was done with the schools, the Chicago schools, and it was the same, I think, consortium. So what they found is that there are 5 elements or 5 principles that need to be in place so you can have student achievement. And this is like a recipe. If you're making a cake, you can't leave one of your ingredients out. If you don't put flour, no cake, right? If you don't put eggs, no cake. You're not going to have cake. This is the same. You can have the best principle, because one of the elements is leadership. And I'm going to make my notes here. And I think I have it. Do they have it?
No, I don't think you do.
Okay.
This is leadership here, number 1, right here, as the driver of things. And I can point them out if you want. As you
Okay.
get, yeah.
So the 5 elements are leadership, professional capacity, student-centered learning, climate, parent-community ties, and instructional guidance. So we need all those 5 elements to make sure that we have student achievement. So
I see as instructional core, correct? Am I right with that?
Mhm.
Okay, that's what that little box is.
So for the leadership, it's not only a good leader. We need a leader who also makes sure that others can lead. And in our school, we have like team grade level leaders, and our principal was making sure that everybody was building that leadership skill in them. Professional capacity, making sure that everybody has what they need to teach, what they need to engage families. And the professional capacity was like really plan ahead to make sure that we're giving to the teachers and to the parents what they need. The student-centered learning climate is making sure that they are learning. Everything we do is based on that child that needs to be successful and ready for college. In instructional guidance, making sure that they have what they need, and curriculums and everything. And we have like the maps for all the year, and we decided what they were going to learn from the beginning of the year. But the most important one for me was the parent and community that ties. so that all families were in that boat with us. And you have to have all of those to make sure that you're going to have successful. Anything else to say about this?
No, I just, man, when you've got a recipe like that, I mean, that's a lot of moving parts right there, and I'll finish drawing it up here while she continues to talk, but I think, when I think about how this aligns with the dual capacity building framework, I mean, that professional capacity is about building capacity both within our families and within us. Like, we're building our capacity today, and we have both representations, right? That instructional core, I mean, at the end of the day, to get to our instructional core that produces the outcomes that we want, both for students and for school improvement, because when our students succeed, our schools succeed, right? Really working together with those remaining three, I mean, you got some really great leaders here in the room already, but the leader has to believe in the change and believe in the process, right? And in order to get those right people in the places, these other four things really get a little bit easier, because then you've got someone like from our core, our norms here, we can't be afraid to change, right? You have leaders in place that help facilitate all of those moving parts, and I guess that would be all that I say.
So, for example, for the instructional guidance, one of the things that we used to do was, like, we gave teachers like exactly what they needed to do. And at that time was when we started to change to the common core. So we had we deeply studied the curriculum and decided on which standards that teachers were needed to focus. And then besides that, we decided what were those gaps that we needed the parents to help us with. Like, for example, if you are teaching in 4th grade, I don't know, fractions, I think fractions, right? And you have students who can multiply. Can you go back and teach them multiplication? Probably not. Probably that is one of the things that you need your parents to help you with. So we decided, at the beginning of the year, when we're identifying those gaps, and we asked the parents to come, and we taught them how to help the kids to kind of build those skills and knowledge that they didn't have, with drills, with games, and other strategies. So we taught the parents, this is what you need to do at home. This is where your child is. They don't know multiplication, and they should be doing multiplication super fast. So they were kind of helping us with that. So that's pretty much, for example, with the instructional guidance.
See, I think, okay, I'm kindergarten, and I think when we say, okay, teach them the letters and sounds, and the parents don't know the correct sound to teach them, so they're teaching them buh and cuh and duh, so we need to train our parents.
But there are so many things that they can use from online to do that.
But they don't know, and until we tell them.
Exactly.
They don't know.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that statement that I had made earlier from one of the studies, you can't assume, right? It doesn't matter the education level. You can't assume that they know the right strategies to implement, like how to use sight words and how to, be explicit in what we're doing.
But even in kindergarten, easier things as use a rich vocabulary with your kids. I had so many students in my district that everything they were talking was the thinking, or right? And what is how do you say it, the Mexicans? El de este. The thing in Spanish is el de este, and I used to tell them, you need to call the things by their names. That is going to help your child to increase the vocabulary. So little things like that. So they can help, they can do help, but we need to tell them what is what we need them to help with.
Exactly.
All right.
Time for lunch again? That's where we were supposed to be when we left.
All right, so we are going to examine our core beliefs. And I probably did notice that we have 4 corners. We have agree, disagree, strongly agree, and strongly disagree. So what we are going to do now
Is pick up those nicely OCD papers that you stacked up.
Yeah, make sure you don't,
Just pick them up, don't do
yeah,
anything yet.
just pick one,
Just pick one.
don't
Or
even
just pick one.
look at it, you don't.
Grab one, then
Oh.
don't look at them, just grab one. Don't look at it.
Don't look at it.
Don't look at
It's
it.
mine.
We want this to be truly anonymous, right? Okay, and so before we start moving around, keep in mind that iPad recording thing is there. Don't hit it, or do hit it so it will turn off.
No.
Did not say that.
All right, so we're going to stand up. Find somebody in a different table. Exchange your paper.
Exchange your paper.
So we're truly.
Do it 4 times. 4 times. One more. When I say anonymous, I mean anonymous.
Did it change for somebody? You could just have.
We're gonna say that.
Don't get too comfortable in your seat. Because now you're gonna need to open your papers. And find what it says on core belief number 1. Read it.
Everybody's a comedian.
And then go to the corner.
So while you're moving, the reason that we do it this way is it allows that completely anonymous because the paper that you are holding is not your answer.
So, our core belief is all families have dreams for their children and want the best for them. So we have,
Disagree. What is this? Strongly disagree?
Yes.
We got a tie.
I can't believe you would say that.
so some of you believe that, you agree that families have dreams? Who is a parent here? Who has kids? Do you have like aspirations for your children? By looking at your children, do you think that somebody will not have aspirations? It's hard to think, right? So strongly agree, everybody should be there, right? Everybody should think that they do have aspirations for their children. They probably, as we have talked a lot about it, they probably don't know how to help. They probably don't feel that they feel comfortable with. There is probably not good relationships, and here, like people disagree. But they have aspirations.
I think some of the key words in there is all
Yeah.
and what are dreams. The definition of a dream for you it might be interpreted totally different for me, kind of like what you were talking about with the spiritual things. But a dream for a low poverty family might be don't get in trouble, don't go to prison or that. I mean, that literally might be a dream. So if we're defining dream as success of graduating and going to college than no.
When I did my dissertation, I did it on families, beliefs, and values about kindergarten readiness. And I did some quantitative and some qualitative analysis. So my quantitative data, I gave about 600 surveys to parents, and I gave the survey to all of the teachers in my school. And what I got was this, exactly the same. It was a totally different district, different state, and it was the same. The parents, when I asked, do you have dreams and hopes for your children? They were all there. Strongly agreed. But teachers, they were here. Disagree.
I'm not a teacher.
That's not your paper.
It's not my paper. It's not, but I did say.
Don't feel bad, you're representing somebody.
But it's hard not to, we as individuals have our own values, right? And it's hard not to project our values on other people. And I think what makes this hard to process is what Stacy just said. All, all. Can we truly accept all? And then what is dreams? Because dreams have different levels for people. If they know how to process what a dream is, right? And that has to be with experience and things like that. But
So what's the right answer?
all families have dreams for their children and want the best for them.
I think what it,
It just may not seem like their presentation may not feel like that, but we as educators and families have to accept that at some level families have dreams. And as we can see from the research, especially the Lopez research, they didn't show up, right? And we could make the assumption that they didn't care. But what they did do was take their home values and try to instill it in their children, and their children were still successful.
And by families, that's not necessarily those biological families. Is
Right.
that what we're saying? We're talking about the caretakers.
Yep.
We're talking about the
Because
people
family-
who are representative for these children.
We said families means a
Because
lot of things. Yep.
Some of them are not born into great places.
And
But do care about it.
and what I see is more the assumption, because the parents don't come when we ask them to come, because we see that the child comes and you said they're hungry when they are going to their football game or whatever, we assume that parents don't care. And what I think is very important to see here is a difference in the perspective. So this is what we as educators think because of the assumption, because of the reactions that we see in our parents, but our parents have a different perspective. And there is a disconnection in that. So let's see number 2. Core belief number 2.
Move to your respective corners. If necessary.
You by yourself, Dr. Price?
Oh.
Wow.
Who can say something about this? How do you summarize what we are seeing?
I think what it says when it says have the capacity, and we just finished talking about having to teach the parents how to help their student. I think when I read it, I took it as, do they know how to do this new math?
Right.
Do they know? No, they don't. So that's our part to help them build that capacity. But that's the way I took it when I read it.
I think even also, maybe the resources are there, but they don't even know how to use the resources.
Or they don't know how to find the resources to use. You know, if they do get it, or if people say, hey, we have this over here, come get it. They may come get it, but that's it, you know?
Well, and I think about some families who are, let's be honest, things are going on, they may have a sick kid or sick something, and they're just trying to make ends meet. And, survival sometimes comes, ahead of their AR points and their reading logs.
come from, I experience a lot of kids living in motels, 4 or 5 siblings in a 2-bedroom two-bed motel. And so when I looked at that, some of us are who we are from our experiences. And educating students that are extremely low in poverty, you see that they don't have all the tools. And with one TV, or they don't even have internet, or they don't even have power. You know, it was a bus driver that recently said that, hey, don't even discipline this child because they don't even have a car or power in the house. So we had to look at things like that. So.
Yeah. But I think when I think about what we were saying first, that if parents have the hopes and they want the best for their children, and we say probably no, sometimes they don't care about their children, but in reality, it's probably this. They don't have the capacity. They don't know how to do it, right?
What does capacity mean?
I was gonna say, I was thinking the intelligence for some, that it may have been, that didn't that, or just finished at a 4th grade education. Now to be able to have that education to help and support their children,
Well, and
That's all I was thinking.
I was kind of thinking, because I'm not like a sport person, like if you ask me to play any game, don't even like waste your time trying to teach me. I'm bad. Yeah, I'm bad. Yeah, when I was at school, like everybody was, when they asked me to be like participating in the team, they were like, no, don't pick me. I was terrible. So, but I don't think in my case you can build that capacity to be like a good sport person.
The ability to.
Is there potential though?
Yeah, it's a measurement, it's a measurement,
Yeah.
capacity's a measurement type word of, do they have the measure of support? Can they help hold that support for that learning?
I think, so in your sports analogy, ability, no, I don't know that you would have the ability, but capacity in my mind is also the potential, right? You may have the potential to be very fast, or you may not be coordinated, right?
None of them.
We are on a strength-based mission here.
What about thinking of like capacity as, that's how they were raised, like their parents they weren't very involved in school, and so when they have kids in school, they're like, well, this is normal, so that.
Let me use this analogy for you. What is your gas tank capacity? 15 gallons? 20 gallons? I feel sad you're over here, baby. I'm gonna come stand by. So, to your point of building capacity in our families, we can fill that tank up, right? It may not have it in it right now, but it has the capacity
To hold it.
to hold it, right? So, yes, all families have the capacity. We may have to provide support. Remember that equity slide I just showed you? We have to provide more support to some families than others. But all families have the capacity to support their child's learning.
I think it's how it's phrased, it's misleading, because this is the second time I saw these questions. I saw them on a workshop the other day, and I just think it's tricky, and I think that maybe as I was overthinking it, because I saw the word all, and I'm thinking nobody is all. You can't say all have the capacity, but on the flip side, like you're saying, are they open enough? Do they trust us enough to help them?
Ooh, what'd
build
she
that
say?
capacity?
What's that keyword?
Trust. Or are we giving them what they need in order to be capable?
Yeah.
You know what
So
I'm saying?
it probably needs like a slash potential.
You said potential?
Yeah. I talked over you a minute. You were going to say something. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I guess capacity, I thought of it in terms of all encompassing. It could be emotionally, physically, financially. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of different things in different situations.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. It is a little tricky, I have to say. Even as a facilitator, I feel like I'm tricking you a little bit. But please know I didn't come up with these questions. Okay, Anything else on 2? Let's look at number 3 and move to your respective corner. Number 3 is families and school staff should be equal partners. We're gonna get our steps in on this one.
Oh, Anna.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
oh, party of one. So why would somebody why would we agree or strongly agree with this statement?
We gotta be the leader.
Everything we talked about. You have
Quite a few things we,
Yeah,
already
we talked about today, yeah.
And plus you got that common goal, that student, so in order to, you
The
know.
capacity outcome of the framework is student achievement and school success, right? Why might that be a hard one to swallow? Why might somebody strongly disagree?
It's not always the case.
Yeah, our experiences have shown us.
Yeah, very much so, in different situations. I mean, it's not always, with one kid I can say I strongly agree, with the other one I can say I strongly disagree. And that goes back to everybody kind of being universally on the same page.
Sure. Anybody else?
What about the equal versus equitable? You know, because we just talked about
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Just trying to think.
Think through that. That's a good point. So when I
For
think
some,
of,
we can be equal. I'm not.
I think what this core belief is trying to say to us is that for so long we have done 2 parents. I keep saying that, right? We have led the charge. There have been a handful of parents and families who are engaged in the process with us. Where's Valerie? You're talking about us 4. We can just do it. The 4 of us. We don't need anybody else, right? So we have become sort of these little silos and cliques. And the research supports over and over again that when families are involved, and to me that means co-creating, in a co-creating environment, we are both participating. So in terms of your question about equal versus equitable, I think of equitable in terms of the types of supports that we provide, and equal here would be that we are no greater weight on either one of us for the success. So a true home-school partnership then would be when both of us are kind of in the mix in the same way. Anything else? That's a big one. That's a hard one. This is a hard one to swallow.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you say equal, but as a dad,
You
man,
defer.
I want my kids to do better than what my teachers, their teachers want them to do.
Yeah.
I want more success than, that expectation is higher for our kids than even the teacher's expectation. But that's not, we could put, if we put all families on there, man, it would change it totally. But, so my expectations might be higher than the teachers.
You do hear the conversation from parents from the mindset of, I'm not the teacher, I shouldn't have to teach you this. So I think for teachers, sometimes that becomes very frustrating in the sense of, okay, yes, it is my job that I get paid to do, but there's more that they need to learn, there's better they could do, you know, there's greater if we work together.
And I think to that point, helping families build that confidence that they were those of you who are parents, you were your child's first teacher, right? And building on the confidence, and not that teachers are expecting you to do their job. I don't want us to look at it in that way, but that as partners together, we have the capacity to support one another for the benefit of the child, like getting the adult mess right in support of the child.
And that goes back to communication. So never assuming, because you can look at kids, like somebody said it, you can look and see that they're well dressed and you'll just assume that parents are involved and, you know, that parent has a stigma about being dirty, you know, and then so you're not communicating with them and you think they're reading what you wrote or that everybody has a Facebook page and see announcement, but no, we have to do more about connecting the dots with communication, even if you over-communicate, and you take the pressure off yourself as a teacher, as an educator. When you over-communicate with the parent, even if you know that they'll be bothered, you take the pressure off yourself. But then I could say it's my fault because she told me, you know, because there's gotta be some accountability.
I wish we would have created a chart paper early on and put little tick marks for the number of times we said assume, communicate, blame, you know, because it's, we just trust,
I've heard teachers say that they don't want to assign homework, they don't believe in homework, but sometimes that's the only communication that parents are getting from school to know what on earth is going on in this classroom and how to help. And I mean, I'm speaking from a parent for a moment. You know, sometimes I don't know how we're doing until it's too late. You know, and the grade is in the grade book, and it was like, man, if you just like let me in, like I could have nailed him to this chair, and we could have made sure we had this. But you know, I don't know until it's too late sometimes, and then it's like, then I'm like, why didn't you come to me? You know.
I want you guys to keep in the back of your mind all of these comments that we're sharing during this core beliefs, because as we get to the dual capacity building framework today and then again tomorrow, especially around the process conditions, I think that you'll see room for improvement in this lack of communication as we begin to implement some of these strategies. Again, family engagement is what? A strategy, right? Not the goal.
I think one other thing that may need to be said, I had another person from the school share with me last week. I was sharing with them just frustration of a situation with a family that I know needs help but won't accept help. And she said so often in this particular community, because of the poverty level, a lot of the times they, like we've already stated, they'll dress them a certain way, they'll present them a certain way, but that's really not the situation at home. But they're embarrassed, and somebody maybe did help this family in the past, but they made it public knowledge. Hey, I did this, I did this, I did this. And if you do that, then it makes that family never want to ask for help.
Pull back a blade nub, right?
So going from the teacher's standpoint to the admin to the counselor to whomever, you know, it even for me as a kid, maybe not so much in kindergarten and first grade, but second and up, the backpack buddy system that's supposed to technically, I think, be anonymous, is distributed to the classrooms on those Fridays, at least at the schools that I've been at. And those kids know that kid gets extra food every week. And then the kids are asking, why do you get that? You know, so even in that assistance program, maybe we should try a different way of giving that to the kids, you know?
At Stevens, we do it very anonymously. They come to a certain room that's tucked away. It's not on the main hallway. So I think it just depends on the school.
But then they have the big bags.
Well, they put them in their backpack if they'll fit, and they've been provided drawstring bags where you can't see. But the problem with that is these kids are getting food for the weekend. They're not gonna remember that drawstring bag every Friday.
I will say a good thing that comes from that, just to think about other kids seeing it. My kid came home and was like, I need food for these kids. So my kid took stuff back because he wanted to help because he saw that. So it's not always a bad.
That's not the norm, though.
Well, I mean, I guess I like to think. I mean, but you know, I mean, I guess it's not always a bad thing. But I mean, I could see we're probably majority.
Well, that's just one thing. I mean, you know, I know there's some boys at the middle school level that ask to be moved in their seats because they have to go to resource classes and they don't want any of their friends to see them sitting on the front row. They don't want them to know that they're in there. And you know, some of those kids are, in my opinion, some of the most well-behaved kids, and they need the help, but they won't ask for the help, and they won't accept the help that they need even after school because they're embarrassed.
Yeah. Part of that is creating a community of trust in your school, and that way you've got that established, and so the kids know to love and respect each other, and the teachers love and respect each other, and then they love and respect the students as well. I think that's bigger.
Sometimes even it is just about being strategic, because like in one of the schools that I worked, what they did was they have an intervention time. So everybody was leaving the classroom at that time. Some kids were going to special ed, some kids were going to enrichment, like reteach, but everybody was leaving So you really didn't know who was going to what, right? So it's just sometimes being strategic.
I guess the last couple things I'd say about this is if you think about this like this principle of reciprocity, right? We're reciprocal partners in this, and that the other thing that I would say is that, you know, if you, and it's kind of like looking down your nose again, that comment that I made earlier, if we treat people like they're on the lowest rung of the ladder, whether they're adults or students, do they even want to climb, or do they know that they can climb if that's all that they know, right? And really building, once families who haven't traditionally known what to do to support have that experience, they begin to believe in themselves that they are capable. And once you start thinking that you're capable, then your confidence builds. And when your confidence builds, then you're more likely to want to advocate or to learn how to advocate for your family and your child. And once we get that voice engaged, then we have a better opportunity for this core belief to play out. Good deal. So the last one. The responsibility for building and sustaining partnerships among school, home, and community rests primarily with school staff, especially school leaders.
So I'm not lonely this
So, what do you think about this?
It's tough. Probably the toughest one.
What do you think about where people are?
I think that goes back to you have to feel like they want to receive the things that you're trying to help with. Like Valerie was saying earlier, you know, some places you feel welcome, some you don't. So like, if we're gonna try and build that, we have to feel like we'll want it a little bit. So it's kind of got to start there, but we got to push for it too.
I think each situation is different. I think you could put IEP responsibility on there. You know, each person's different. You know, there's your quiet ones that you do have to reach out to. And there's those families that, like myself and my wife, man, we're gonna go.
You're the reaching in guys, right? Where you at? Reaching in. When we said that earlier, I kept my mouth shut because I wanted to have this conversation here. It should not be the responsibility of the families to do all the reaching in. It should be our responsibility as educators to initiate the outreach, right? We could talk a number of reasons why, but some of them we talked about like either bad experiences, or they did terrible in school and don't want anything to do with it, or they're embarrassed about something, or they don't have the confidence, whatever the case may be. It is responsibilities. I mean, look, this is here for a reason. This leadership, remember, it was the one, right? The one that drives the rest of this for student success. And yes, a strong principal, assistant principal in the building matters, but teachers have to step up too and take that teacher leader role and do the extending. Why might, I know we said it's hard, but why might we not agree with this?
Because I think some teachers think that parents ought to reach for them.
It's your kid.
That's what
This is your child.
Yeah.
Not my job. I mean, I've heard it.
How many times?
Well, I think don't like dealing with us. I'll be real honest. I mean, because if you have to push real hard, I mean, they don't like seeing us coming.
Yeah, and people are afraid of questions. They feel like it's attacking them. You know, I feel like some teachers feel that way. Well, I'm just asking the question. Well, no, you can't be asking a question, you know, because that makes me on guard.
Yeah.
Yes, but people feel
I
like, you
might
know.
not know the answer.
Yeah. Exactly. Instead of saying, you know, let me get back to you. You know, it's always like that target. I think teachers sometimes feel targeted if somebody asks questions, not knowing like they just don't know. So I'm asking you because I need you to give me some feedback.
I think teachers are scared to be honest a lot of times too. they're scared of what higher ups, like if teachers are real honest and tell you how they feel, like personal experience, they're scared of losing jobs.
True. Yeah.
Look,
Two.
I relate that back to the, scenario that, Marisol gave about the restaurant. If I go to a restaurant, it's not upon me to satisfy me. I didn't cook at home. If I cook at home, I cook to satisfy. I came for you to satisfy me. I'm hungry, you feed me, blah, blah, blah. If the experience is bad, I shouldn't have to try to write that experience. I'm giving you my money. Parents are giving us what's more precious than money, their kids. And, you know, I feel like we need to forge those relationships and those partnerships because we're the ones that are supposed to be the experts in how to educate them. We need their partnership in what we can't get done within those 6.5 hours that we have them. Then we need you to work with us at home. But again, I go back to the restaurant, you know, if you mess up my food, I shouldn't have to go back there in the kitchen and fix it. You know, so I really like that analogy, and I think that, you know, it is. We should be the ones that are responsible for building that partnership.
I could say the disagreement coming from among the school, home, and community. You know, your three criteria there. Some would think, man, no, it's just the school.
Yeah.
But if look, it's community too. Leaders of the community in the school helping build those relationships too.
Making those
I
connections.
think it's unrealistic to say primarily with the school program staff and special school program. I just think that's unrealistic as a parent. Because you don't know that kid like I know that kid. I just think that's unrealistic to just leave it in the hands of schools and leaders. Because
But out
they have,
of the three,
I got one, and you got
there,
several.
who can provide the opportunity, who can best provide the opportunity to bring everybody together?
Oh yeah, the best opportunity.
Yeah, and so that's why I see it as what entity out of those
Initiates that,
three can best, because if the parent says, okay, I'm gonna have a study session at my house, you know, not a whole lot of people are gonna come, but at the school, out of those three, you know, I think the school is best able to initiate and support and sustain.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, all of you. If your superintendent, didn't think that family engagement is important, you think you guys will be here?
No.
Bing, bing, go ahead.
But, and just like right now, the way you guys created this culture right now, if a person came in here, they would not know who was the educator or the parents. Because everybody is open-minded, respectful, listen to others. But this is how a school should be welcoming to the parents and the family. Exactly right, like what's here right now.
Yeah.
Because again, you can look around and you can't tell who are educators or who are parents.
Right.
However, you also would be able to tell if somebody was in here with I say it again, some kind of restaurant outfit or something that doesn't look as professional. That's when you also need to be more welcoming.
Yeah, because our lens gets jacked. Yeah.
And when do teachers call parents?
Most
of the time.
You took the words out of
We
my
call
mouth.
them when there's trouble.
When there's something wrong, and I don't wanna answer that phone. Oh, that's a school.
Whoop,
Don't wanna answer that.
Well, I think the community part is really important because we're in a very supportive community and we have a lot of resources in our community, and I just don't feel like we really bridge that and know what those resources are and be able to connect our families to those resources sometimes.
Yeah.
And our community leaders, a lot of times you're just sitting and waiting, they're ready. They're waiting on us to extend that invitation into the conversation, so.
Well, and two, I think, you know, it's incumbent upon the educators to create the culture where their families don't feel intimidated, right? That we look at each other, kind of like you were saying, we look at each other as partners in this. You can't tell the difference right here, who's who. We have to initiate as educators those values within our building, the expectations within our building, that's how we're gonna run this. And early on, the secondary video we watched, she sent a postcard early on, right? So that's the first communication, right, that they had, and it was a positive one. This is how you can reach me, right?
We're gonna talk about that when we look at the framework.
Good.
Okay, one thing. So in this city in particular, we are governed by the city government. And a lot of times, when you're in conversation with them, they have no idea sometimes what's going on in the school system. I mean, and for them to have that much power to elect Board of Education members and have so much say-so in who the superintendent is and all those things, they don't have enough information about school system until it's in the paper or something like that, you know. So that's another gap that's an issue as far as, you know, community.
And I like to, that's part of what's going on here is developing the framework to get out of those silos. Because I'm already, we're in meetings with the Chamber of Commerce, just had another meeting, City Council we're setting up. And it's so that we have a layer of transparency with our faith communities, with everybody who's a resource in, and how we output something that they need to our community. So I think that you're gonna find that's coming. You guys are gonna be the heart and soul of establishing a new way of thinking and being and doing within our school community.
And I would like to point out, if I may please, that, you know, we've spoken numerous times about the parents not being equipped with what we need them to do. And we assume that as educators, that we're all equipped with what we need to do.
You are giving a glimpse into the soapbox I'm coming on later.
I mean, we are oftentimes not, because just because we have an education and a degree does not mean that we have the answers to all questions. And, you know, in something such as this, it's a great organization, but if you don't have the buy-in from the adults in the system, we're just spinning our wheels.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times it's because as educators, we feel that we should know things, and we're afraid to step out and ask, how could we better do some things? Because we don't want our coworkers looking at us like, ooh, how'd she get a degree? You know, and so that's what we do. And so we hold ourselves back from being able to progress in a manner that we continue to talk about, but we really don't want to show the actions and be about.
Yes. I love it. So now, before you sit down, would be a good time, educators, for us to do this little poll. Give me a raise of hands. How many of you in your degree program were provided a formal family engagement class, module, nugget?
Not for schools, but yeah. Some family studies.
Yeah, family studies. But not in the education degree program. Okay.
Not even in the leadership.
Not
even a master's program.
Yeah.
EDS program.
Parents, those of you who are parents, when you delivered your child, did the hospital give you, along with your little swaddling blanket, a book? Here's how to get your child in school and do well.
Nope.
No.
But there was that in what to expect the first 3 years. I read that cover to cover.
The hospital didn't give it to you.
No, I got it myself.
Right.
I have a good story. When I was getting my bachelor, I already had like 3 kids, and I was like super busy, as I told you. So I was choosing my classes, and there was one class called parenting, and I was like, I'm taking this one. Because, you know, this is gonna be easy. But that was the only class that I got to see.
It's not easy.
No.
Yeah, it's not. And then you guys have other people's children. I don't like other people's children. And so I'm gonna give all y'all a compliment, you know, because it's gotta be a hard
Y'all
thing.
can sit back down.
I know that's a deal, but I'm not a teacher.
Thank y'all for doing that.
Stuff on my butt. I might not even like it. The older you get, oh, that kid get on my nerves. Call his mother.
Okay. On this chart paper, you may want to do this up on the wall. You can cover up some if you need to. You're gonna draw a T, like this, here and here. And on one side, you're gonna write C, and on the other side, you're gonna write here.
You're gonna write what else?
C, S-E-E. What will I see? What will I visualize? And what should I be hearing? So if we are implementing these 4 core beliefs with the spirit of strongly agree. On the left side, you're gonna write what you should see. And on the right side, you're gonna write what you should hear. There you go. Perfect. So we're looking for what behaviors, what attitudes, what actions should we be seeing in our building or hearing in our building that suggest that our school strongly agrees with these core beliefs. You have 6 minutes, okay?
I will say what I see in the morning that you guys do, having those teachers out there, they never fail to talk to my kids. One of them.
You have, remember, you've got the core beliefs in your binders that you need to remember.
Have some actions out there, like, that's not a big deal. Like, especially for the younger ones, when we were at Pierce, they thought that was new. I hear them say, Mr. Hannah, how you doing this morning? You know, I see Miss Bird, specifically say, baby, come here. Like,
Okay.
you hear them.
Hey guys, give me just 1 second. I'm going to re-explain. What your task is to identify either on a see or hear side those things that you should see in your school if everybody is on board and strongly agrees with that core belief. And you have your belief statements, belief survey in your binder. You can look at the statements there. So what actions should you be seeing in your building that support that y'all are all on board with that? 110% strongly agree. Or what should you be hearing?
You guys are making an active thing to communicate that you're trying to see who's who. I mean, I guess I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, you guys can make it however you want. I was just trying to think of things that I've seen.
Or munchies from mom.
You know, we walk in a building and, you know, have a principal and an assistant principal be willing to sit down.
That's interaction between the students and the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You trust those people with your children.
The hall was closed.
When you feel like they care about your kids, that's the first step. And you even know my kids, they don't feel like you care. You took the time out of all those kids. Perfect example, an IEP meeting last week, I had a principal tell me, I have 400 plus kids and other parents and other people to be talking to right now. When I came to you,
Bigger tribes.
you put me in your office, you sat down, you called the
So your
principal.
practice is big.
Did you see like,
And
that's just from personal experience, and I just
I
want to
call
show,
it
I
neighbors.
trust you guys when I do.
Neighbors.
The one that
Whereas
you
that's where
called was
we're developing larger groups.
Yeah.
That's right. I don't mean it PTOs, I mean it in just in groups of people looking at their children.
Community leaders. Household leaders.
You guys have done a lot of stuff this year that hasn't been done before. That was kind of a big thing. Show it that you're involved, like with getting them excited about being at school, the whole homecoming thing and all. That was a big deal. Again, that goes back to when you feel like you're invested. You want it to be more than just like you're here for class. We want you to be here that little bit after school to help decorate because we want you to be excited about
Sorry,
it.
I just had a nightmare flashback.
So opportunities for involvement and engagement.
There you go. I'll throw it out there and you guys summarize it.
Engagement, involvement in conversations.
Because like they said earlier, you know, if the kids are excited, they want to be there, they're going to feel to be there.
There were kids talking about their homes.
Yeah. When you have that kind of school
I think you'll hear
spirit,
more
that
about
gets,
career.
it's just, you know, like, kids being excited to be involved.
I put halfway.
They like feeling like they have some kind of say so and stuff, especially at this age.
student-led, you know,
Yeah,
stuff.
positive.
So we can say, oh, you're fancy.
Over here, your parents positive interactions between students and their
Teacher, yeah, like when they're talking in the mornings and stuff, I guess that's what encouragement.
Do the parents pick a line? I know parents were real fussy about doing pick up lines. But it's my favorite. I love pick up lines because I get to talk to the parent in the line. I get to talk to the kids to get to give the kids a hard time when they're walking out to the car.
Seeing that Miss Heard was invested in kids, all that stuff, like she did this, I realized, I mean, that was a big deal. I mean, the safety goes back to the trust part, you know. Again, get out of that box, doing things different, changing things up. I keep saying Miss Heard, like she's in charge of everybody. I feel like she's like the mama and y'all just are under that umbrella.
Put it.
I think the thing you would also hear is less blaming.
Yes, well, that's huge.
Say what?
You can say I said it.
You see about online, you see
And you see them in the community, you're seeing them at games, you're seeing them at
There's schools that you don't see those things.
I think you would hear less blaming.
I need to because, you know, hey, I put it inside that school. Yeah, because you know it's coming. Or else I would have peeked in and been looking by now.
Well, look, it didn't stop me. I just busted in there. I was like, I was talking.
Yeah, because that's true. Yeah, and that is
because they're taking a
because y'all hide from us because you think like we might walk up here and say, did you no. I don't make a business not to do that. Talk about your job.
That's how right.
Unless you're working in the community. We should probably say interacting.
I usually tell them.
We do see this sometimes in sports events.
That's what I got here. It's more than communication.
All right, wrap that up. 30 seconds. I know, it's good. 2 minutes, okay. So
And like I said earlier, that goes back to, you're right.
Yes, because if you're not from here, you're more likely to leave this school system.
Can't come up with the word
You just stick
more,
around.
but salary for.
And it's different, so you stick around. You get it for a reason, but the community that are your staff. Like you look at them.
I love to hear from
Salary for.
Yeah, because he's sweet to him compared to what he thinks.
Giving the school
Compared to what he
more responsibility. More initiative. More initiative. Both. We would hear and see more initiative.
You should hear from each other more often. Something like that. Say it, if you're not gonna bite your head off, girl. And I'm hearing you. I made a whole job description. I made a job description for the parent advocate.
But we should, like you just said,
We should see a parent advocate, somebody you can reach out to.
So you can make it
so what
30 seconds.
is that you are seeing things and you're appreciating. But some
from experience, I know.
feedback.
Everybody's doing
hear my own shit. Like,
Stop
when you
looking
go, oh, there's-
When there's trouble. Call me so I can ask you these stuff. Say, vice versa.
Probably that's what I'm thinking. Ownership of, yeah.
Okay, we gotta make up some time, real quickly. Give me one thing that you can see, one thing that you can hear. That ain't quickly, come on. She's like, which one of them?
Student growth. We have student growth and data chats and parents questioning and respectful criticism. I'm sorry, I'm overboard this morning.
You were slow and you did not follow directions at all. Right here. What'd y'all say? What did you see and hear? One of each.
One thing you can see is someone playing their part. One thing you can hear is teachers bragging about parent participation.
Wow, nice. Right there.
We want to see improvement, collaboration, and then hearing, positive conversation, open lines of communication, relationship building opportunities.
Perfect. See in here.
Administrators out of their office, into the hallways more. Opportunities for involvement and engagement.
She said, my God.
And that's what we want to see. And we want to hear positive interactions between students and teachers and open communication.
Very nice.
Positive parent feedback. Yeah, well.
Right here.
Well, we said we wanna see, like, your school to be welcoming, like, when parents walk in the building, it needs to be like.
You want Gladys to be nice.
Yeah.
When I walk up in that building.
Yes,
I got
ma'am.
you. What should you hear?
Well, positive reinforcements, like, good job, or, things instead of only the negative.
Yeah, like I did for her when I was telling you good job.
Good
Okay.
job.
Right here. What should you see and hear?
We should see collaboration. We should see some of our faith activities and ownership of the learning process. That's something we should see and should hear. And we put less blaming. Woo.
Word.
You can change that word to
That hurts, Danger, don't you?
Your fingers in your pocket.
Thank you very much. Look,
Stick that on the wall.
this is not easy. Dealing with the core beliefs is not easy. And part of this is about that mindset. Part of this is, changing the way that we look at each other as families and educators. And I don't think we should throw the baby out with the bathwater from the pandemic, right? We learned a lot about how to partner, and we were forced to communicate more than we normally had. And so let's value those things that work really well and find ways to implement that, right?
Well, we were told, you need to contact your parents once a week during the
Voluntold.
pandemic, but we don't hear that.
Voluntold. Yep.
In the regular, you know what I'm saying?
I do hear you. And that's an important piece of information to take back. Okay, I don't want to take the time to do this now, but I do want you to do this tonight if you could. And if a couple of you would like to share first thing in the morning, I would love it. If you had a chance to go back and answer those core beliefs again, is there anything that you would respond differently to? Okay? And I think there probably is. And this is a great activity to do with your staff. I mean, it really is. If you want to start changing the culture of your belief system and truly and authentically and intentionally engaging families as partners, you got to see where people are. And that anonymous piece really helps get to the root, right, of people's beliefs. All right, if you would do that for me, I would appreciate it. I talked a little bit about this when I asked you to raise your hands if you had been exposed to any kind of formal family engagement training. The question is, why has it been difficult for us? I mean, this seems like common sense, right? Why is it so difficult for us to do this in an effective way? And it's capacity, right? We got a big old tank, but we've got to fill both sides of that to make that work. Okay, this is a quote from Dr. Mapp, and I'm going to read it to you. The various stakeholders and when she says that, she means everybody, right? Families, district school leaders, and staff have not had the opportunity to develop the knowledge, skills, and dispositions. In other words, the capacity to engage in effective partnerships, right? And an example of this that she gives is like Title I, you know, they tell you gotta do it, they don't tell you how to do it, right? They tell you want X, Y, and Z outcomes, but they don't give you any suggestions about how to do that. So, your superintendent, your assistant superintendent, your family engagement, but you are here because hopefully by now you care if you didn't when you were voluntold to be here. But we have an obligation now that we have this knowledge. Remember the third outcome that I had on the slide this morning? How are we going to take this back and make this for everyone?
So, they didn't give us, they didn't tell us how to do it or what are the resources that we're gonna use, but at least we have the framework. And do you have a copy of the framework? Can you, please find it? And I'm gonna go through it like super quick.
Page 6.
Yeah,
page 6 of your participant guide.
So the framework has the challenge, the essential conditions, the policy and program goals, and the capacity outcome. So let's talk about the essential conditions first. Those are the things that need to happen in order to have our family engagement. And they talked about process conditions and organizational conditions. The process conditions are those that you can do without the support of your leaders. Now, you as a teacher can you read the first one, the first bullet?
Relational, built on mutual trust.
You can have that relationship with your families, right? As a teacher, you don't need your principal support. How about the second one?
Link to learning and development.
Link to learning and development. So when that teacher, Jessica Solano, was talking about the data, she said that you need to teach your parents tell your parents what your kids are doing and tell them how to help their children. So that is what it is. So if you have donuts for dads or the muffins for moms, and you have a great time, is that linked to learning? No. It's just a great time, which is probably, somebody likes sweets. It's just, you can probably, okay.
She was talking about me, not you.
Okay, good. I was going to say something. My mind went to, like, what is the way to eat a cupcake? And I was like, I eat chips and salsa, that's what I like. So that can be good, your events with your parents to build that relationship, but it's not linked to learning. So teachers can do that. They can have those meetings with their parents, even one-on-one, on home visits, to link that to learning. What is the third one?
Asset-based.
Asset-based. So what do you think is that? I'm thinking about what?
You're focused more on the strengths.
On the strength, not on the deficit.
Right.
And we have the tendency to focus on the deficit. Well, but they don't speak English. That could be the deficit, but not the asset. The next one? Culturally responsive and respectful. And that's something that you can do. You don't need your leader to do that. You can be culturally responsive to your families, understanding that the culture is different, right? And now more than ever, we have been exposed to those differences in culture, right? And the next one? Collaborative. So you can do that. You can collaborate with your parents. You don't need your principal to do that. And the last one? Interactive. So those process conditions are the things that the teachers can do or the school can do without the leaders, the support of the leaders. How about the organizational conditions? In order to make real family engagement, we need that. So what is the first one?
Systemic, embraced by leadership across the organization.
And when we say systemic, it's everybody in the system, right? Next one?
Integrated, embedded in all strategies.
Integrated to all strategies. So when we're thinking about the strategies that we're going to put in place, everything needs to be has some kind of family engagement. Parents need to be there. We need their voice and we need their partnership. We need their collaboration. And the last one?
Sustain with resources and infrastructure.
Okay. So this is a key one. Because there is something, let me see if I remember. I think a goal without money is it's just a dream or a wish, right? If we want family engagement to be really implemented, we need money. We need to take, first we need this training, then we need to take this training to our teachers. And we need the money, we need the resources so this can be done. So now we call the framework dual because it means that school and families have challenges, right? So one thing that I noticed is that sometimes those challenges are the same. Like for example, the first one. Who can read the first one for educators?
Have not been exposed to strong examples of family engagement.
And Tavia was asking about that. Who has received any kind of classes when you guys were getting your degree about family engagement? No one. How about families? They have not been exposed to a strong examples of family engagement. So we don't know. We as parents don't know. Teachers don't know how to. And that is a challenge. The second one, we have received minimal training. Same with the parents. We have had negative past experiences with schools and administrators, and that's what I was telling before. If you have a bad experience in first grade, even with your first child, you're gonna keep that in your mind. No, I don't go to that school. They don't care about the parents. So we need to change that. And the third one, we not see partnership as an essential practice. Most of the times, we don't think that we need this. We think that we are the superheroes. We can do this without the parents, right? And for the parents may not feel invited to contribute to their children's education. And sometimes this could be even a cultural thing, and I would say for our Latino parents, we feel that our role is to do things at home, and we sometimes even don't want to mess up with what the teachers are doing because we feel that we can teach our kids something that is wrong. And I remember my mom saying that when I was a child. So, and I remember hearing this from parents. So that's a mindset that we need to change. Let them know that they can really help. And the last one, may feel disrespected, unheard, and unvalued. And at that table, you guys have something that I told you, this shouldn't even be here, right?
Yeah. Respectful interactions.
Is that something that we respectful? It should be there. We don't,
it is amazing that we have to listen, right?
Did y'all write it too?
Yeah, respectful criticism.
There's a quote by Maya Angelou, and it's something along the lines of, I did what I knew how to do. This is the basis of it. I did what I knew how to do then. I know better now, so I'm gonna do better, right? So I think where we are is that we're doing the best that we can and that we know how to do, and once we know a little bit more, then we can be more strategic and more intentional about having the right capacity and the right resources to improve for continuous improvement. So we've spent a good bit of time talking about a definition, talking about our core beliefs, giving you a lot of things to think about, and now we're going to take a little bit deeper dive into understanding what effective homeschool partnerships really look like. So when we've got this question on the slide, and I'm going to show you a video here in a second, but do you have any ideas about what we mean by effective homeschool partnerships? Anybody?
Goals met.
Goals met.
Whatever they
You're not
are.
going to say communication?
Oh, I might. I was thinking it, but I was going. Didn't want y'all to get tired of this word.
Trust, relationship, all that stuff we've been talking about, right? The
Keyword.
tick marks that I was talking about earlier.
Where everyone's benefiting.
Everybody's benefiting. Remember, one of the very first slides she showed was what our capacity outcomes were, and that was for student achievement and school improvement, right? Wait a minute, how do we get there? Let's see what Dr. Mapp has to say about this. And what she's going to talk about, Maricel mentioned the book Beyond the Bake Sale, and in that book you have a rubric. This rubric was developed off the backs of, I think this is Patrick Hearn's school in Boston Public Schools. So let's see what she says. Oh, I'm going to turn this off.
In 2003, I became Deputy Superintendent for Family and Community Engagement in the Boston Public Schools. And I was really blessed to have this position where I was able to meet loads of wonderful principals of the Boston Public Schools. So I started to ask them what was their definition of partnership. As I visited schools and had a chance to meet with principals and their staff, I'd ask this question. Well, lo and behold, I discovered that every single place I went and every single principal I talked to had a different definition of partnership. And so I began to think about, what does a partnership really look like? What does it really feel like when we are authentically engaged in true partnership with families? And so when Ann Henderson and I and Don Davies and Vivian Johnson started to talk about the book Beyond the Bake Sale, one of the things that we realized was that right in the beginning of the book, we needed to address this definition of partnership. The way we decided to approach it was by using a rubric, because we all know in the education sector, we seem to love rubrics. So we decided it was a really great way to talk about, what do we mean by partnership? So we designed a rubric that goes from 1, which is below basic practice, to 4, which is more advanced practice. So the exercise that you are about to engage in will give you a chance to assess, where are you at your school? Where are you on the road to partnership with your families?
Okay, we're going to do a speed rubric today. You got 5 minutes. In that envelope, so let me back up one section. The handout that she passed out, I would like for you to take that home, okay? Because I want to get to some important pieces today. The one that says A, B, C, D across the front for types of partnership schools. Take that home. And I don't want what we're about to do to cloud your decisions. I would love for you just to highlight where you think your school is now in each of those.
But you're going across.
Yeah,
Like,
not where you
building
want to be.
relationships, You highlight the ones that you think about building relationships, then you go to the next.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the rows. You're picking one of the rows, right? Or one of the columns in the row. So you're gonna do that between now and tomorrow. This is not where you want to be, but where you think you are, okay? Because this is about growth. What I want to have room for right now is this partnership scramble. So yeah, it will look kind of like this. Okay? Where you think you are. But what I'd love for you to do is I just handed an envelope to each table. And you're going to need to clear a little bit of a space. You've got 4 big pieces of paper. And then you've got a bunch of tiny little strips in there. What I want for you to do is put your 4 big pieces of paper as your headings, like your column headers, across the table. Then what you're doing is trying to match up the small strip. For example, yes. I just pulled one up. There is a clear, open process for resolving problems. Do you think that that is a fortress school, a come if we call school, an open door school, or a partnership school? Okay? So we're going to take 5 minutes and do a speed scramble.
We have lost somebody, then we go pick up the kids, so we're.
43.
Oh, that's it. They're working for school. They're listening. They're not really listening.
What do you think?
Parents don't care about their children's education, and they're the main reason their kids are failing. We're teachers, not social workers.
Action team.
There is an action team.
So nobody has open doors?
I don't know about this. We probably got some open door situations that we don't know anything about. Oh, that's open door. They visit the school? Yeah, that's good, that's open door. Yeah, that's open. What's that say? What that was saying? That's not an open door, and that's not about shit.
Not open door.
Fortress is locked. There is no.
Maybe that's open.
Action team for family engagement.
That's pretty easy.
Not at all. I'm just saying right now. Right now. No. Let me out of a cupcake. Go get your chips and sausage. Get away from That's right. Well, I will go have one. Let's look at that. Can you know about that?
At least got one experience.
Neat. They get a little something. What she said is that
I know.
there's so much going on. There's
2 minutes, 15 seconds.
That's what we need our teachers.
Families can visit on report card network.
Only if I go to show. Some days you'll hear
There's a very. I'm not trying to tell you, I'm just saying, like,
Want the children's behind the encouragement to them, or whatever so that when you do tell them something else, don't see it, don't think
now which one? So when I'm going to information, it's a question, and it's like,
evidence he had not done what he was supposed to do. The mama, and she came up, she came up ready to take him out, but when he showed her what
It
he
was funny
wanted.
because she was like, oh, Karen, you called me with these accusations and stuff like that. I'm on my way up here. And she came in there and I was like, in my mind, are you really ready for this fight? The fight was gonna go out here. And it's gonna be professional. Is your son's name such and such?
His name is right up there.
Got a whole different kid.
I heard his side, I heard your side. That means I heard a quarter.
Let's see how you did.
Okay, ready?
And again, this is from Beyond the Bake Sale, Dr. Mapp's first book, with a couple other colleagues.
So let's see how you did. How do you see here? What is this? How do you see on this picture? Tell me about the picture.
Don't look at the bullets, look at the picture.
Oh, it's a castle with a mother.
You can't, the door's closed, there's water around, so there's no way. And do you think this place is inviting?
No.
Okay.
So let's see how you do. Parents don't care about their children's education, and they are the main reason for kids, for kids failing. Do you have that one? Yes? Okay. Parents don't come to conference no matter what we do.
Yeah.
Principal picks a small group of cooperative parents to help out. Those PTO parents, right?
Yeah.
Two that is that what you have? This one's good. We're teachers. We're not social workers.
They don't need to be have little
Is that
small components.
is that what you have?
Yeah. Social issues.
And the last one, curriculum and standards are too advanced for these parents.
These parents.
Ooh. You got a slight piece of focus going on.
Right?
That was when I told you that we have those students at only 2% of the students at grade level, that was our excuse. They don't speak the language and the parents are illiterate, so there's nothing we can do. Okay, how about this one? Is this more inviting? A little bit, right?
Trap, don't follow this.
It just don't tax you money.
drown in that water before you get to the door.
And I think that is where families, schools usually are.
Yeah.
Come if I call you. So parents are told that students will be learning at the fall open house. Parents are told that the students will be learning at the fall open house. So when they come, your students will be learning, don't worry. Workshops are planned by staff. So parents don't have anything to do there. There is no partnership, there is no like two-way communication. Families can visit schools on report cards pickup day only. And I was telling you that after the shooting, we saw the shootings. We saw so many changes on the schools, and it was so difficult for parents to even visit. Like one of the schools that I visited, they asked for the parents to leave their driver's license before they were into the school.
Yep.
So I don't know, I feel bad if somebody takes my driver's license. Like, first of all, you have my baby there.
Yeah.
Why do I have to give you my driver's license? I don't know. It feels bad, right? And the last one, parents call the office to get teacher recorded messages about a lot of protocols, probably.
To answer your question too, also is the fact that sometimes another parent might not be able to come pick their child up or visit by court order. So sometimes you do need those IDs to make sure, because sometimes parents will just show up that's not on the list.
You need the ID, but not to take it away from them.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
don't.
Well, that's what I was saying, that at that school, they,
oh, no,
they
don't.
yeah.
Withheld it, yeah, they withheld
Yeah,
it.
well, they and then when there were school events. Can you imagine? So how did you do on this one? So maybe I call you.
How did we do that?
We have
No?
some more stuff that shouldn't be in
Okay. Nice. How about this one? What do you see on that picture? The door is open.
I feel like
What
there's
else?
music playing out the windows.
It's brighter, right? What else? What else do you see here?
Sun's up, doors open.
Sun is up.
Oh, you want to drown in that blue water?
So, door open school. Parent-teacher conferences are held at least twice a year. Do you think that is enough information for a parent?
No.
Twice a year? There is an action team for family engagement. That's nice, right? School holds parent events 3 or 4 times a year. The donuts and the muffins. Parents can raise issues at PTA meetings or see the principal. Do you have that one?
Yep.
Yes? And the diversity of families is recognized through multicultural nights held once a year. Okay, how are we doing with this one?
Better.
Okay, how about the last one? Ooh, look at that. We have flowers, right?
But for one thing, we had a better idea of what open high school was.
So a partnership school, this is what we want. So families are seen as partners in improving educational outcomes. So parents have the capacity and we're gonna help them build that capacity. All family activities are connected to students' earning. It is all the events, or most of them, are linked to learning. So we can have a few carnivals, but we have to make sure that most of the activities are linked to learning. There is a clear open process for resolving problems. That's a tough one. is creating that community. Families are actively involved in decisions on school improvement. Do we have that? Can we listen to their voice a little bit?
A little bit. More at the Title I schools than.
And staff conduct relation building visits to families. And that is also a tough one. But if we can do it, at least we can start by 1, and 2, and then more.
So, I'm sorry we didn't have time. I'd much rather hear you guys' conversation. I'm sorry we didn't have time to actually give you time to highlight where you think you are, but I really would like for you to give that some thought tonight. And when you come back tomorrow, maybe be willing to share a couple of examples. Do you need a break? Maybe, can we do like a 4-minute break, stretch? And then we have a really fun activity. Okay. 3 minutes. Let's do the break. Oh yeah, we don't do that. Put your paper back in there for me. Thank you guys. You can see them on the end of your table. So you may want to kind of start clearing off your table a little bit.
Right, yes, the photo booth. Yeah, that's it. Like when you make the turkey.
Go have it. I'm gonna watch you march.
We don't even know what we're doing.
Something's got to be creative. Someone's gonna be quiet. And then you got Miss Simmons sitting next to you.
What is it?
So I said,
They told me to come sit in his seat because I'm not there. I was like, oh no, you should do it. He was like, he can take his snacks. He was like,
We was in the leadership. And it was like, have at it, as a group, go. And everybody had to go like right now, put pieces of stuff together. And it was funny because I had just been
All right. Thank you for your patience on a short break.
the head principal was like, you're creative. And I'm like,
You should have been like, yes,
Yes.
you should go with
Okay. So a video is about 3 or 4 minutes long. Perfect. We are going to do a what is our vision activity, but before we do that, I want to show you this short video. Watch it through the lens of any ideas that you can glean from what they have to say, what their vision was about, because that's going to be our next activity, okay? So I'll turn the slide out real fast.
Families, of course, we know are the children's first educators. One of the things that I do is I work with families to educate them about, yes, you absolutely can be a part. It doesn't matter what your education level is. It doesn't matter that you may not be able to speak English very well. There's something that every family can do to help their students succeed. I also work with teachers to help show them some of those ways and use some of those tools to help use families and show families how they can be part of that partnership.
There's one parent, her name is Elizabeth. She didn't know any English. She was very shy and timid. I tried to get her to join us at the workshop. She started coming out. She started coming out to the English classes. She participates in every workshop. Her kids are in the gifted program now. One of them got a scholarship to Georgia Tech for the summer. So she's more involved, and I've just seen her just blossom. I mean, she is just like the role model for my center.
The families give me a lot of the prior background knowledge that I'm lacking from them. I like to talk to parents and really emphasize that they are the ones that know best, and I'm just here to enhance whatever elements that they're learning from home and really take it to another level where they can go and move where they want them to be.
I think it showed a great relationship starter, because after that, we had programs in the school where they knew that we wanted them to come in, and we wanted them to be part of the kids, their students' lives. And so by doing that, one thing that we've also included is parent-student conferences, goal-setting conferences.
Sorry about that, y'all.
And it's just been a great bridging. We have a long way to go, but I think it's the respect and validating that, yes, we know you care. We want your opinion on what you want. And we don't always, this last year we had 99% of the parents set the goals for their kids.
But as far as conveying to the parents that they're the expert, that is where the questionnaire comes in and those personal conversations come in with the parents and the families, because we have a lot of different dynamics. So I just like to hear from the families, their dynamics at home and the history of the child and what works best for them, because they are the experts. I also convey that in my parent conferences. Anytime I communicate with the parents, frequently communicating with them also helps, based on positive or negative behaviors or even academics. Any type of communication, monthly, weekly, notes in the agenda, phone calls, emails, however the parent is comfortable communicating, that is how we communicate, and as frequent as possible.
So we give our parents a cell phone number that we have, and that way we're able to contact us whenever they need to outside of the school hours. They can text us, they can email us. There's an open dialogue of communication at any given time. And so now that communication, they know there's a partnership, so they're not apprehensive to contact you via texting or email or a phone call. And they know that it's okay because that partnership has already been formed. There's a trust value between us.
I already know, because I've been to your house, I've sat with you, I've done home visits with you. I already know you care about your kids, so that's like a non-factor anymore, right? And I think that everything I do now, I approach it from like everybody cares and everybody's trying to be helpful. And some people just don't know how to do it. So then I approach it as, oh, well, let me just show you how. And then I know that you'll go off and do it. So I have like a more trusting relationship, less judgmental. And I think that that's just helped me just be a better person just in life, right? Just like everybody tries to do their best with what they're given, right? So I think that that's how it's changed.
So if we can break that barrier down to let them know that we're here as a partnership to build this bridge together for the success of the student, then we know that we have that relationship all year long with the family when we talk about the hopes and dreams, because everyone has a hope and a dream, not only for themselves, but for their child.
So, in the spirit of our Boston colleague, I want you to create, with the baggie of fun stuff I have given you, your school's vision of a wicked good partnership, right? It's a partnership. So, I told you, y'all gonna be looking at me like high school, like, what am I supposed to do with it?
Just put eyes everywhere, that's it.
So, I have more sticky notes up here. I have different color markers than what you might have at your table. There's pot cleaners. There's googly eyes. I could not pack scissors on the plane.
I'm just saying.
I mean, like, I like even if like they were talking about like everybody's split into different groups, like maybe we show that they're a little bit separate at first, and then we show that they're related together. That's what I'm saying, like maybe at first you have just like the orange and the yellow together, yeah, and then do all together.
You have 15 minutes. Think about maybe the idea of you're from to. You could also put M&M's.
And we're not wasting our M&M's.
Waste the raisins.
It might maybe do with the big ones, like, you know, two separate, like,
What are you trying to say?
like what we are and then what we're gonna do.
Start together, and sometimes they have all kinds, but they're really not.
This guy's over here just knocking out stuff.
You're also going to have to share your vision. You'll have 2 minutes to share. Okay? Go.
Who's got green and want to swap?
So what is all
Never mind, I'll leave your green.
I got some blue, so what are we gonna use?
We're gonna use separate, like the first one together, like our blue together, whatever. And then down here, we're gonna mix them all together. So like showing the room everywhere.
I have some up there. You can get them out of my hand.
I'm in green. Let me just hand the tape now.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
You just got the Hawkins that one?
Okay, well,
I let you just tell one.
You have to share scissors. Do not get me in trouble. I need these back. Who asked for them?
I should have had some kindergarten.
Oh, scissors.
I can't vision it. What are those? I thought we just put eyes everywhere and said we don't have eyes on all
mine are what you
This is the
Yeah, she's doing another, he's gonna do one of these. Two of these.
I'm just gonna give them a little space.
No, I mean, y'all are just doing it, but that's not what we're talking about, right?
Trying to bridge the gap.
And this is the hand.
I bet that'll stick.
And those go, this is the hand. Isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
Have y'all seen Baylor's Taylor?
Yes,
Okay.
It's Thursday.
Oh, that's a weekend.
We need another person.
It's the Thursday blue.
Okay, so how are we gonna make this big person?
We got eyes.
Yeah, so get the neck.
It doesn't matter, as long as they're like.
I have some more index cards and festive type cleaners if anybody wants to.
You can't do
I
that.
don't know what we're doing. But I know we don't have a vision.
We think we have a good idea. And I'm just trying to think.
Just one you try to find something.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't allow them to play with sharp objects. Oh, no.
Because we need some color eyes.
I would love to talk to this in my friends, but I'm almost certain I would identify them. And if I find out about something, but I know
To get another paper. I'm completely responsible for this, so don't give me trouble.
but I'm trying not to be judgmental.
And then it wasn't long.
Anybody else need
Stuff they got so excited, they started yelling tears. And I told them all.
That's
What's that, y'all? Is that the same thing?
okay, make a mistake, just don't make it.
Bodies down there.
We're gonna make a big body.
Okay, we need these separated. We need, one's up here, but we're gonna need the other one up there. We don't need, yeah, we need one pipe. I don't know what's top, so we can use the other one for the other bodies. Oh, these represent people. So I need one pipe cleaner to make one body, at least one pipe cleaner of every color. Because we're gonna use the other pipe for each color.
But then we're gonna make a big one out of all the
Yeah. So one pipe cleaner for the body up here.
I didn't know you were making one.
I didn't hear until I.
Oh, thank you.
And then save that one. We're gonna create a body at the bottom with all the colors.
Students, put parents. Put school together, eyeball. Oh, wait, yeah, we're going horizontal. I was like, dot, and smiley face for the other first.
You know where I'm going with that. I live in the middle school world.
I'm just gonna
Guys, today we
whatever they told me to do.
raise a finger and I
Because that's like every day. I love it. All three of us come together, it's just yes, ma'am. Hey, bud. Yes, sir. You like some chocolate? Yeah, come on. Someone go to the school? Oh. Come on. Okay, so rule number one. When Dr. Price speaks, it's just do what she tells me. I know my lessons.
How do you explain it? He points with that finger. We're not really crazy. That doesn't teach my child flipping.
I get it.
Price is too.
Follow it. You're right.
Well, we're supposed to have a yellow man, yeah, we should have another. Where's the other purple one?
Giving them a chance to read.
There it is.
Oh.
Yeah, you should have one of every color for the other part.
None of these are mine.
I'll tell you that I'm not
Very much keys
Yeah, there's your code. He's got a
I just need to tell me how I know people
We don't really put everything on one thing, Gary.
Slide this Listen, don't pay with pipe, they don't look at scissors. Pipe cleaner.
Anybody have scissors? So I got a because that's gonna go at the bottom.
With student school, student school parents community, that would go for it?
I love the way you write, but when we blow it up,
All right.
More people have tattoos now.
All right, you're over here.
Don't
We phone. It ain't a part of the thing. What is it over that show? Oh, yeah.
Well, they are having a version.
You don't get the color brand on that.
You got here. That's why I don't. That's what the version
I have no idea.
All right. So the special, like that first initial, when they start, it's for the show.
Got this. Multicultural band. Simple is better. Give them shoes. Say only that part is
Oh, they got a
What do you use then?
There we go. Oh, I know. And blue. Okay. Do we have that?
Oh, you finished it.
Do your best in the next 2-3 minutes.
We don't need our lady. I mean, we're just there right now. Don't leave me without it. I got some in my car.
Cost you $2.
It's 5 over here, so that is.
I know. Supply and demand, baby.
Yes, indeed. I'm like the gas price, hold on, you want me $7 tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know these are, it's not a guy anymore. A girl. I think it's self-explanatory.
We did have another person.
Anybody have a green pipe cleaner?
No, we can't.
Well done.
Yeah, we do.
$12.
Sparkly one.
Hey, that's feathers.
You need to put
Chefs, make your final Got about 10 seconds.
Join together.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Okay. You have 2 minutes to describe your depiction of your partnership, your wicked cool partnership. You guys want to go first? Stand up and let's let everybody see. Okay, guys, look here.
Okay, so we said this is representative of the school, and they're saying, let's work together. And this is the family, and then after we made it, we said, oh, we should have included community, so we added family and community. And they're asking, what can I do to help? So there's that support together. And then with the comment end, student success. And then the student is saying, thank you for working together for my success.
All right.
You'll have to take it down, Michael. Okay. Here.
Just 2 of us, other one have to leave. This is Brad and Jason.
Right here, guys.
We've got Bradley School with 2 bridges coming out to family. And then our community, it says, what do you think, Mr. Goodbar? Yeah. She said, ask the 3 Musketeers.
This will celebrate us.
I love it.
Thank you.
Okay. High five. Good job. All right, let's go here.
Shoes and bodies might fall out.
Okay, they might fall off. I don't know. I'm gonna try.
Go. Don't think mine were middle school.
That is cute.
Yeah.
So this is everybody individually. You
stakeholders.
Yeah, and then this is once we combine everything together and everybody works together. We don't change anybody, we just kind of put it all
Include
together.
all perspectives, yeah.
See,
And if they go balls, that's the hair.
Sometimes the stress on
The stress causes hair loss.
Sometimes we fall, but it's what we do when we get
That's
up
right.
and down.
But it's okay.
We're focusing on the positives. We'll get on my
Sometimes
hat.
you lose a shoe.
Right.
Or
And
your
you might,
nose.
the stress might cause hair loss.
Yeah.
Trying to make that one.
I love.
Sometimes you throw a shoe when you're mad.
We're on some Rogaine.
Yeah, I love the Uggs. Those are great.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. You guys ready?
It's not cord hanger.
Yes.
Okay, so, here's ours, this is BR's. Okay, so here we have, the 10 man we have the teachers, because sometimes we can be a little hard. And this one is the students. And then I said Mr. Goodbar is the lion, which is the parents, because sometimes they come off, but they're really just cuddly inside and love the Dorothy. So we are on our way to the Emerald City, which is a successful future for our children. And it's together we can do it. And sometimes we may have students off the path, and they may take a different path. We're going to be that bridge to get them back on path to their successful city.
Okay.
Oh, and this was the community cheering us on.
Back here in the corner, guys.
Okay, so our motto at our school is JP starts with us, so we put it starts with us to bridge the gap. And these are the teacher, the school, and then we're have to build a little bridge so everybody can be all happy.
Great job.
Nice job, guys.
See, I'm not that good at talking.
We're holders, right?
All right, district, no pressure.
We're glad.
All right, so we're gonna start off with, we're gonna get y'all involved a little bit.
They phoned a
All right.
friend, by the way. I don't know.
You said what now? What'd she say?
You found a friend.
Oh, the friend, yes.
Yes,
You found
we
a friend. But we're gonna do a cheer, okay? Y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right. S-U-C-C-E-S-S, that's the way you spell success. Go Wildcat! So ours is the pathways to success. So we have our students in the middle, and then we have our family, linked to our school, linked to our community. And there's success.
Great job.
I didn't know we got a hype man. We didn't get that option.
Oh, y'all didn't phone a friend.
Yeah, we know next time.
You guys see any commonalities? Bridges, yeah?
Including everybody.
Yeah?
Partnership. Community families.
Community family school is there. And success, yeah. Do you see opportunity? Remember we talked about y'all being up in here in a feeder pattern now. Do you see opportunities where you can connect your work now? Maybe these bridges need to be happening between the schools. Yeah. What do you think? Can you make it a reality? Yeah. I hope by Wednesday that, especially tomorrow, we're going to dig into those process conditions. And I really think that that's going to be something that would be super helpful. So we have 5 minutes, and the only thing we had to cut was that one little activity, so that's not bad. So tomorrow, you may want to take a look at these pictures. Chris has posted these on your specific site, and I asked him for pictures. So
They helped get them.
oh, they did. Great, perfect. So the reason that we did that is you're supposed to do a scavenger hunt, and in your participant guide, you'll see that you have homework for a scavenger hunt. That's intended when we have several weeks in between. So I would like for you I know you have lives, but if you get a chance just to peek at it, we're going to start the day, and we need to start right at 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? So everybody please be here by then. We'll we'll start with that. Take a look at your pictures if you get a chance, if you have not seen those. We thought those pictures might be helpful in lieu of, you know, being at your building so that you can actually see what's going on, because I'm telling you, things are in your building that have been there so long you don't even see them anymore. She says amen. So we'll start the day with the scavenger hunts in the morning, and then you guys will have to share a little bit. It'll be modified, but I told Chris, I really think that you need, as a team, to actually do the walkthrough in your building, and I know from the last time that happened here, it was super, super helpful. So that's how we'll start tomorrow, and then we'll be digging into the process conditions. We have a reflection that we want to close with. That last slide. Yeah. So, do you want to do this? You want me to? Okay. Thinking about what you learned today, just in your note page there, think about what is one thing you will either stop doing, keep doing, or start doing as a result of today's training. One thing you'll either stop doing, keep doing, or start doing. No,
Are we turning that in?
No, I'm not for, in the last couple of minutes, if somebody wanted to share. I want to kick my shoes off too. Okay, anybody want to share? Anybody got something they want to stop doing?
I want to stop making assumptions. Yeah.
Stop making assumptions.
That's what we put.
Yeah. What are we going to keep doing?
I thought building relationships.
Keep trying to build relationships, okay?
Advocating.
Advocating. Good.
We're gonna start communicating.
We're going to start communicating
better.
I know, I said, I'm an intervention teacher, and I never talk with my parents, but I need to talk with them. I need to, get their numbers and have a conversation.
I need to be open to listening as a parent.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say for a while.
Anybody else?
I think something that's important in communication is remembering that part of communication is listening. Sometimes the kids will tell you what's going on and they don't even realize that they're opening up and telling you things.
Yeah.
And it really helps you to see them and their need differently.
Yeah.
I think we can start asking questions. So in that asking questions, we're going to listen to the parents.
Nice.
Making sure our schools aren't fortress.
No fortress. He's going to go back with a sledgehammer and do some DIY. I have had so much fun today. You guys are amazing. I appreciate, I was telling Maricel earlier, I don't know that, we have a lot of people who share early on, but you guys just, like, right out of the gate, and that is critical to the success of your family engagement efforts. So thank you very much. Thank you for what you do. And if you ever think that you're not enough, please don't think that. You are enough, and you are appreciated on both sides, families and educators. We'll see you here in the morning at 8 o'clock. I'm going to hang around if you have any questions. District, you need to say anything?
So you're at 8?
Bring your book back. Or leave it here.
Y'all have a good day.
So I have a question about what are we supposed to do with the pictures? If you haven't seen them or you weren't involved in taking them, just take a peek at them. We're gonna use those in the morning to go through that scavenger hunt as much as we can.
Oh, this one. Oh,
Thank you for the green scissors. Thank y'all.
It's gonna be better.
Okay, awesome. Nice to meet you. Yes, ma'am. Not on a daily basis. Yes, ma'am.
How many did you get?
She came to me last week. She sent me a text, and then all of a sudden I got another text. What happened? She called me and scheduled. No, you're fine.
YouTube or whatever. And that one just had some video, especially for kids that the Navy
Say that. Like these babies have better.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Well, it's one of them. No, that's not, I just.
No, they're all gone from here.
But I just look at that.